Thank you, George, for that great introduction. And Brian has left because he's...
No, I'm hiding in front of
you. Oh, you're hiding there? You didn't want people to actually judge the 3 years. I just want to piggyback on what both Brian and George said. This is a time when we have a great contrast between all the grandiose things we say about our democracy, about our system, about what it can be, and about the ordinary things that we have to do to make it the extraordinary thing it could be. So we need to move beyond, not ignore, but move beyond just talking grand ideas about what we want for our future, about what we want for our Commonwealth, and recognize that every grand edifice that we're going to build starts with mundane activities like we're talking about here. You want a great system that actually recognizes equality for everybody. You want a system that is fair. You want a system where we actually don't care what your zip code is, determines what your education is going to be. You want a system where we say women actually have the ability and the right to make their own healthcare decisions. That starts with really ordinary acts. Those grand thoughts and goals and desires that are so worthy, they start with each and every one of us going out and getting a petition signed. They start with each and every one of us being willing to do what the 3 of us did, and that is stand for election. Hey, I didn't have a chance. I don't know about you guys. You didn't have a chance. You probably had a chance. Everybody had a chance. You just stand up. Stand forward. You step up and do this. That's what we are to do here. I keep quoting this. Benjamin Franklin, when he was leading this is a civics class here. When he was leading the Constitutional Convention in 1787, he was confronted by a certain Mrs. Powell, who said, "So what's it to be, Dr. Franklin, a monarchy?" Because there was a lot of concern about that then, or a republic. And he responded, "It's a republic, if you can keep it." And I gotta say, over the last 3 decades, I'm not sure we've done that great, maybe even longer than that. We have not done a great job of keeping this republic. I think there have been a lot of grand thoughts. We've made some real progress, but we've also slipped back in a way that we've not lived up to. And I'm not saying that over the last 240-some years we have ever lived up to the grand values that were established right here in Philadelphia in 1776. But each generation, I think, has committed itself to doing a better and better job. We need to do that. And we need to do that by confronting the inequities, the unfairness, all those things that are out there. But we need to do it by understanding that confrontation has to begin with really ordinary, mundane acts. And so let's take this republic back. Let's make sure that we are standing up for that republic. Let's make sure that we are making progress toward the values we know that we haven't reached. We have not achieved the goals that were set out for us. We have a lot of work to do, but we have work to do. We cannot sit back and let somebody else do it. That's not going to happen. We can't sit back and whine and complain. That's not going to do any good. We've got to get engaged and involved and do the actual footwork that is required by a republic. And so all of us can keep talking about all the grand ideals and values that we all share. I'm saying we do share those ideals, right? But they all those things, those good things that we want to get, those things we want to get to, start with these mundane acts. And speaking of mundane acts, one of the things that I'm dealing with right now is something called gerrymandering. Are you familiar with that? It's just one of the mechanical things of a democracy. If you have election districts where you don't have fair elections, you don't have a democracy. And we are never going to get to a point where any of the values we want to achieve, any of the goals we want to achieve, we're not going to be able to do that. So it requires us actually paying attention to these mechanical things, the things that aren't as flashy, the things that really, in the end, matter. So, as you know, on Monday I rejected the Republican gerrymandering. But I didn't want to make this some sort of political grandstanding where it's he said, she said, you said, I said. I wanted to make sure that I was being as objective as I could possibly be. Because I think we can all be pretty objective, just look at that map and say, I don't think so. But I went beyond that. I went and got people to help me look at this And there were people out there who volunteered to help. Professors at Princeton, Florida, the Washington Post, and the New York Times. And I had a mathematician from Tufts. Her name is Moon Ducci. And I said, okay, what do you think of this map? And she applied the most rigorous mathematical analysis to it and showed pretty convincingly that it's not a good one, it's stacked. And so I said, now my obligation, as I understand it, from the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court ruling, was to rule on that map that the Republicans gave me. And I said, no, that doesn't pass muster. But I went beyond that, and I said, it would be unfair of me to actually say, we just don't like that map, go try and do it again, do something differently, or to the Supreme Court, you do it. So I came up with my own map. And I used people from around the state. I went on listening tours. I actually had people send ideas in. Even had an elementary school do a crayon map. That, by the way, was a lot fairer. And the map that I presented last night at 11 o'clock, I had till 11:59, so I made it right under the wire, was a map that, according to objective analysis, actually is fair. All recognized by the Supreme Court. We have the two majority-minority districts. We are fair in terms of the splits, the compactness, all the things that the Supreme Court and our Constitution in Pennsylvania demands. We've done it. And I think that's just one of the many examples of all the things we have to do, the mechanical things, the ordinary things, to make this extraordinary democracy work. So when you do what you're going to do, when you go out, you're not just doing this because this is the time of year, this is the time of the election cycle when we go out and do the things everybody does. My parents did it, my grandparents did it. You're doing this thing because you want to make sure we keep this republic. Every generation, every family, every individual has to make that commitment. And you're doing nothing less than that when you take these petitions around. So I thank you for not only doing petitions, the work that makes it possible for me to get a second term as governor, the first thing, for Brian to get reelected, for Jordan to get reelected. But I thank you for what you're doing to make this democracy work. Thanks to you, we're going to keep this republic. Thank you very much.
Now I'd like to introduce Jamie Bowden. He is from he's the petition coordinator for the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. So he's going to tell us all about how to correctly sign a petition. I know it sounds like it must be really easy, but it actually has a few quirks to it, this whole process, and so Jamie's going to explain it to us so that we get the petitions signed correctly. We'll tell you that if they are not signed correctly, what happens is the signature gets struck. And so there are certain requirements, there are certain required numbers that the candidates have to get, but they are valid signatures that they have to get. And so there are challenges